Thanks for watching Film Buff. Really, honestly, it's fucking great.
That was absolutely pulse pounding. That was incredible, man. Incredible. First of all, a huge shout out to, all the people that made this happen, man. Not just the actors, because to pull something like that off, incredible, man. Like, the extras. So many extras in there, clearly. Stuntmen. Because it was clear that a lot of these men were on fire. That was a real deal, man. So huge shout out to them. The perfect combination of CGI and practical from the looks of it. Of course CGI because there's a dragon flying around, and this dragon looks incredibly real and believable. So amazing, just amazing that they managed this. Quite possibly the best battle of Game of Thrones. It's right up there. Battle of the Bastards. This is right up there, man. You know what, man? I say it's a battle. I called it a battle just now. That wasn't a battle. That was a massacre, man. That was an ambush and a massacre. That was annihilation. That was pure devastation. You probably noticed that I wasn't super happy. Like, yeah, let's go, Drogon. You're doing great, sweetie. No, I wasn't. It was amazing, don't get me wrong. It was stunning. Absolutely stunning to see Drogon ride in. Just amazing to see it, man. It gives you goosebumps. Man, just stunning. But as Drogon's riding in, as he first rides into the shot over the Dothraki, I was terrified, man. I'm sure you noticed in my reaction. Jaime's down there, right? If you know me, you know that Jaime is one of my absolute favorite characters of the show. Top 3. It's Jon Snow, Jaime, and the Hound. So, of course, I see Drogon riding in. I know what's going to happen. People are about to get scorched, And, and listen here, man. Let me clear this up. I'm not pro Lannister. I'm not pro Lannister. I'm not pro Targaryen. The topic of the house I support doesn't even come into this, because at the end of the day, the house I support is House Stark. Those are my people, man. Those are my people. So that's not even in this conversation. See, this is the first time in the series that that I had concern for people on either side of this encounter. Daenerys and Drogon on one side, and Bronn and Jaime on the other side here. And the sequence was definitely from Jaime's perspective, down on the ground. They had some shots of, Drogon and Dany raining death from above, man. Napalm strikes, basically. One of the shots of Drogon, it was from the side. First it was from above. You could see Dany on top, and you could see just Drogon just burning everything. Then it transitions into a side shot of Drogon just comes into the shot, and one of the most stunning shots of the show. It was really reminiscent of Apocalypse Now. And there's this shot, the napalm strike. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It was exactly like it, man. Perhaps they drew inspiration from stuff like Apocalypse Now. Really conflicting. I don't want Dany to die. To be honest, she was not going to die here. No chance in hell. There's no way Daenerys is going to die here, right? That was not going to happen. But still, Drogon could have died. They could have shocked us. And they nearly killed him off. I don't want to see that happen. And then Jaime and Bronn, most definitely don't want to see that happen. I know some people absolutely hate Dany, like really hate her. So for them, I'm sure it wasn't too difficult to pick a side. Some people hate the Lannisters. They hate Jaime. They think he's the biggest piece of shit there is. For me, it was difficult, man. I didn't want Jaime to die. I didn't want Bronn to die. I didn't want Daenerys to die. I didn't want Drogon to die. But most of my concern was for Bronn and Jaime, because let's get real, Daenerys is not gonna die, like this. Throughout that final sequence, I was just like at the on the edge of my seat, because who knows, man? Maybe they could have killed Jaime off or Bronn. There was plenty of chances for them to actually do it, Jaime and Bronn, they were definitely the underdogs here. Because come on, it's not a battle. It was an ambush. It was a massacre. So, and it was from Jaime's perspective, and Bronn's perspective as well. A few times. Talking about Bronn, man. Sir Bronn, man, absolutely legendary. Like, he's earned legendary status after that. He saved the golden line right at the end there, man. And before that, he shot down a dragon. He didn't quite finish the dragon off, but to shoot a dragon out of the sky, impressive, man. So Sir Bronn, give him all the castles, man. Give him all the fucking castles. They shall sing songs about Sir Bronn. And man, he was tested. He was definitely tested in this episode. His a few times there was some hesitation. Jaime asked him to go get the scorpion, and and Bronn's like, go get it then. And then he dropped his gold. This is like a crossroads almost. It's like, do I go for the gold and get attacked from the back and die, or continue and go get the scorpion or get it ready? And Jaime, that he said, I think we could take him. That's when Drogon comes in. But I gotta say, in my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of other people's opinions, Jaime and Bronn, heroic men, certainly the type of courage a knight's gonna show, right? Jaime and Bronn, man, the underdogs, they stuck in there. Let's pick up as Tyrion comes into the picture, and for the first time he sees this in action, right? It's one thing to plan it out and think about it, but to see it in motion is another thing. And the moment he laid eyes on this massacre, this the absolute madness, you could see, man. You could see he was conflicted, man, because you could see he feels for these Lannister men, and he knows his brothers down there. And Tyrion loves Jaime, that's a given. But yeah, you can see, man, he's looking around, he's looking at the carnage, the madness, Lannister men burning alive, and of course, it makes sense. He grew up a Lannister, so regardless of his new allegiance to House Targaryen, or Daenerys Targaryen at least, seeing this in motion, seeing these Lannister men burning alive, and knowing that his brother's down there, it affected him. You could see. And, the Lannister theme starts playing, super emotional. And then it switches to Jaime's perspective again. Man, Jaime. See, this is key here, I think, leading into his charge, the grand finale of this episode. It switches to Jaime, and Jaime starts looking around, man, and then he's seen Lannister men burn alive. He's seen this before. He's seen something similar to this before. He's seen people burn alive. And you can see as he's looking around. Remember Theon? He's looking around, and it's the same kind of thing I felt. That Jaime, bad memories are coming up. He's seen this before. Jaime saw Ned Stark's brother and father burn at the hands of the Mad King. And now it's playing out again in front of his eyes. It was a really difficult scene. I said I'm not pro Lannister, but like, these men are burning alive. Again, man, it triggered something. You could see it happening. You could see it play out as, they're showing scenes of Lannister men trying to pull off the helmets because it's so hot under there, right? Lannister men trying to get to the water. He's looking at Lannister men turn to ash, So yeah, absolutely. He's having like flashbacks of the Mad King. So that leads us to the charge, that leads us to Bronn. Bronn's on the Scorpion. It looks like he's had training. There's only 7 episodes, so I'm sure they can't show us everything. They're not going to show us Bronn training on the Scorpion. Just not enough time for that. But you could tell he's had some training on it. And this moment of Bronn going up against Drogon and Daenerys, so in my mind, the most likeliest outcome was going to be Bronn getting it, man. I thought for sure this is it for Bronn. The moment Daenerys said Dracarys, I thought this is it. I thought Bronn's going out. But the moment she said it, Bronn launched the Scorpion, and he actually connected. For long parts of this final sequence, Drogon appeared to be untouchable, man. But Qyburn's Scorpion is out there. Bronn actually hit him. So now, on both ends, now Daenerys knows that they have something that can actually get her dragons. They can actually get the dragons. And now, depending on how this turns out if Jaime and Bronn actually make it back to King's Landing. They know that, again, they have a proper defense against the dragons. So has Qyburn made more of these? Has he mass produced them? But that leads into the big finale. Jaime charges at Daenerys and a dragon. Drogon is down, Daenerys is off, in the open. For the first time in the sequence, she's kind of in the open, and Jaime spots them. Now I feel like Jaime at this point is thinking, this is it. This is my chance to end it all. If I can go and get her right now, this ends it. So to Jaime, that's the Mad King's daughter. And as far as he knows, she's Mad Queen herself. That's all he knows, right? He doesn't know Daenerys like all of us. He doesn't know Daenerys like Tyrion and Jon, right? She's not crazy like her father. But Jaime doesn't know that. But in Jaime's eyes, she is just as crazy as her father, because he has just seen her ride in on the biggest dragon, and scorch Lannister men alive. So seeing all this carnage, this devastation, and getting flashbacks of the Mad King, he only had one thing in mind. He saw the chance. He saw Daenerys right there, and he decided that he's ready to die in that moment. I think he decided then and there that he's ready to die. Of course, it wouldn't end completely because, the Dothraki are still out there and the dragons are still out there. But if you kill Daenerys then and there, in the hopes that if he kills Daenerys, he could save a lot of lives. The charge itself, that was one of the most exhilarating and nerve-wracking scenes in Game of Thrones for me. Again, I'm a massive Jaime fan, so like this charge, man, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen here until, of course, Bronn gets him. Then I remember the shot from the trailer, but up until then, I was like, holy shit, this is it. One or the other is about to die here. And the charge, man, incredible. The music that kicks in, the charge itself, Sir Jaime Lannister, balls of fucking steel, the golden lion. The last time I felt this was Hardhome. In that moment, I thought for sure Jon Snow was dying. I kept thinking, holy shit, this is it. They're gonna kill off Jon. This is the same type of feeling for me, man. And as Jaime's charging, you can see Tyrion notices Jaime. He tells him to flee, because this is a good chance for Jaime to flee. And Tyrion, of course, that's his brother. He wants him to flee, but instead Jaime charges the dragon and Daenerys, and of course Tyrion, he's like, you fucking idiot. Jaime gets right up there, but Drogon turns right at the last second. He's face to face with the dragon. It's pretty much game over, but Sir Bronn jumps in and saves Jaime, and they both fall into the Blackwater. And a shot of Jaime, he's got his armor on, so he's sinking. Talk about a cliffhanger, man. And him slowly sinking, and the positioning of his, his limbs, it was really similar, man. It was really reminiscent of Bran falling down from season 1. Only difference is, the shot of Bran was from below. The shot of Jaime is from above, looking down at him, him sinking. So yeah, man, it fades to black, and they play the same music they played after Hold the Door, after Hodor died. Are both of them gonna get captured by Daenerys? Is she gonna hold them prisoner? Is she gonna execute them? So many possibilities here. Is Bronn gonna be given a chance to switch sides? But yeah, man, really interesting possibilities. Do both of them become POWs, or does Jaime become a POW? And is the situation kind of flipped now? What kind of reception does Tyrion expect from Jaime? Because Jaime knows that Tyrion is on the other side, and he's just seen absolute madness, and now he knows that Tyrion is on that side. So can Jaime forgive Tyrion for this? I don't know, man. I know they have a strong bond, they love each other, but like, is this a point of no return? Or thinking of Tyrion, man, has he, is he in two minds now after seeing this? You can see in his face he's not enjoying this. Is this, I don't know, man, is this the beginning of Tyrion perhaps jumping back to the Lannisters? I don't know, man. The possibilities are there. In terms of the most likeliest thing that might happen, I think maybe they'll get Jaime and Bronn to escape. But yeah, man, going back to the beginning of this, the moment Bronn realizes he can pick up the noise, that moment, the moments leading up to it, the moment they realize, okay, this is it, they're coming, the anticipation, the music slowly building up, Randall's trying to get them in formation. Jaime and Bronn are riding up and down. They're showing us shots of Lannister men just freaking out, just trembling in fear. Bronn, at this point tells Jaime to head back to King's Landing, but Jaime, stood firm. He's like, no, I'm not going to abandon my army. Of course he's not going to abandon his army, right? And then slowly they start hearing the Dothraki. Oh, man. At one point there's a shot of us legitimately on horseback, like in the Dothraki horde. You'll see the horse's ears. So you're legitimately on the horse, like you're in the Dothraki horde. So fantastic cinematography and direction, to put us in the moment. At this point, Jaime thinks it can take him. In comes Drogon, and holy shit, man, terrifying, of course. The first Dracarys. Holy shit. The absolute carnage, the devastation of Drogon's fire. It turned a lot of them, the people who took it head on, it turned them into ashes instantly. Then there's a bunch of them that are on fire, burning alive. And those are stuntmen. You could tell those are stuntmen. That's not CGI. That's the real deal, man. So shout out to them. And the music. Oof. It was a Targaryen theme, but it had like a Mad Max take on it. Ramin Djawadi and his music is a major reason for the success of Game of Thrones, I think. His music makes these scenes so memorable, so iconic. It really fills us up, with emotion. And and throughout this whole encounter, it was fantastic because it kept switching back and forth. At one point it switches to the Dothraki theme, and at this point the Dothraki decide to jump on their horses and start shooting arrows as they stand on the horses. Holy shit, imagine that coming at you, man. Like, these guys are, Dothraki, this is their element, out in the open. They've been caged up for so long, so they're ready to fuck people up even more so than usual, right? And at one point after Bronn goes to get the scorpion, Jaime goes on a bit of a run, takes out a few Dothraki, and the Lannister theme kicks in. So this is a stunning track, man. That season 7 soundtrack is gonna be something else. That's gonna be amazing. And let's talk about the sound, man. Post-production on this is fantastic. Drogon's fire sounded like explosions, man, like bombs going off. Like, it was, oh my god. And Dany decided to burn like everything. But the key here is that Randall told Jaime that the gold has safely made it through the gates of King's Landing. So the gold is good, that's safe. And not just that, I think a lot of the food, the grain, also made it to King's Landing, because Randall said, we have to get the last of this, to King's Landing. So at the end of the day, it looks like Cersei still got a lot of it, especially the gold. Hey man, I said I'm not pro Lannister, but it wasn't easy to watch these people burn. That was fucked up, man. Get real. Let's get real here. Because not all of them are like Meryn fucking Trent, not all of them are like assholes. The majority of them are just normal people. They're just making up the Lannister army. And earlier on in the season, they did a really good job of painting them in a good light, humanizing them. But even if they didn't do that scene, common sense, right? Like, not all Lannister men are evil. Most of the majority of them are just like normal people. And they showed us a side of that in that scene. Now look at the group of guys they showed us, right? Now take that group and put them into this group. This group is full of those kind of people. I'm sure there's some assholes in there. Just like there's probably a bunch of assholes in the Dothraki horde. But the majority of them are probably like those men they showed us, So there was nothing exciting about that, for me at least. People like that getting scorched alive. So I don't know, man. I didn't think it was anything to be excited about. Later on, as Jaime's looking around and seeing his men burn alive, that was emotional. I got a little bit choked up, so, it wasn't anything exciting. And then there's that shot of Bronn, the long take, the long shot, the oneer. Brilliant, fantastic, man. This is another scene that really had me just horrified, because, it's Bran navigating through just absolute madness. There's like dark smoke, just menacing dark smoke that's kind of like canceling out the sunlight, and Bronn's trying to navigate through pure chaos. And it was really similar to Jon Snow's long take, one shot from Ballad of the Bastards, but this time it was like it wasn't from behind Bronn. For Jon it was behind, for Bronn it was from up front. It was actually really similar, because they even had like two guys getting taken out by a horse. And at one point you see Drogon just come out of the dark smoke, So stunning, man. Cinematography, like I could go on for like another half an hour just on all my favorite shots of the episode. Just amazing stuff. And first time director Adam Shankman, brilliant, man, for his first time on Game of Thrones. Nicely done, man. So beginning of the episode is more of the same. Beginning is also Jaime Lannister, Bronn, and the gold being transferred, the spoils. And even in the beginning, they kind of set up Bronn and his concern about getting paid. This really plays out, right till the end of the episode. Bronn gets his money, but he still wants the castle he was promised. And by the end of it, he lets him know. Oh shit, it's really coming down. It's raining out there. But by the end of it, that conversation they have, he lets him know that by the end, by the time this is all done, you can have your pick of castles. So as of this point, the Lannisters owe Sir Bronn maybe a couple of castles. At the end, Bronn makes a joke about Cersei's reign being peaceful and quiet, something like that. And Jaime said stranger things have happened. So Jaime, I said in the last discussion for the last episode, he knows, Jaime knows she's not some amazing person. You don't choose who you love. He basically admits to Olenna that it's at a point of no return. But he definitely knows that Cersei is not some amazing person. Talking about Cersei, let's move to King's Landing. So Tycho is back, or he never left. He's still there, but it's another meeting. But this time, it's really different. The tone is so different, man. In the last meeting, Tycho was the one that was kind of exuding authority and someone who had the upper hand. This time it was kind of flipped, right? Now Cersei is kind of sitting there, and Tycho is kind of chasing her, right? Because at first he mentions that he's shocked that they're about to get paid in one large sum payment, and that she's even about to outdo her great father. Now you see a different side of Tycho. He's kind of chasing Cersei. Now he's trying to see how the next move, the next big move for the bank, and how he can get back in there. So after this big move, and the money is coming, the gold is safe. Randall confirmed that the gold has made it through King's Landing, through the gates of King's Landing. So that's good. The bank's gonna get the money. But the thing I found most interesting out of this was a mention of the Golden Company. Cersei name drops the Golden Company and that Qyburn's been in contact. She said that she needs them to get something back for her, something that belongs to her. Now, the Golden Company's been mentioned just a couple of times throughout the show. Remember Davos and Stannis? The Golden Company, they're sellswords. Stannis the Menace. A few seasons ago, Davos brought up the idea of hiring the Golden Company. Stannis didn't like this idea. He didn't like the idea of sellswords. But Davos did say that, they're known to never break a contract. So is there something in this? Do they even have time for something like this right now? So she wants them to get something back that belongs to her. First thing that came to mind is The Rock. But they gave it up really easily. They didn't mind giving it up. Because Jaime was confident that sooner or later the Unsullied are going to have to abandon it. So, and Euron and his men are down there. So do they really need the Golden Company down there? I don't know. I don't know. Let me know, guys. Let me know if you can think of anything else that she needs to get back. But there's one more cool thing that comes out of this. There's two members that come to mind. Jorah Mormont and Daario Naharis. Both of them are former members. Now I know I'm really digging here, but is it possible that Daario might make an appearance again, man? But this time in the Golden Company. Is it possible that he got fed up and left his position back in Meereen? Could he be opposing Daenerys? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of possibilities and exciting things that could come out of this. But yeah, maybe they won't even mention the Golden Company again after this. But I'm trying to think of exciting possibilities. Maybe Daario Naharis can get back in. If he leaves his position down there, if he's fed up, if he rejoins the Golden Company, because before the Second Sons, he was part of the Golden Company, right? All right, man, let's move on. Peter Baelish, Bran, or the Three-Eyed Raven. Fantastic scene. First of all, Baelish kind of, goes on. Well, it starts off by him holding the goddamn dagger, the dagger that was meant to kill Bran, and he's giving it to Bran. And now Bran knows everything. Baelish doesn't know this yet. He's gonna know something's up, by the end of it, of course. But Bran knows all of this. He's telling him about how this is the dagger that was meant to take your life. And Bran asked him, do you know who it belonged to? Bran knows. He knows so much, right? He knows so much. So Bran knows. Baelish doesn't. And Baelish said that's the question that started the whole War of the Five Kings. I kind of felt like it was Ned Stark getting beheaded that escalated the whole, the War of the Five Kings. But yeah, this had a role to play in it, of course. This kind of set it all off, put it into motion. Goddamn Peter Baelish. He can read Baelish like a book. And Baelish has never been in this kind of position before, man. And he doesn't even realize what he's up against right now. He doesn't even know how much trouble he's in right now. He drops his chaos line, right? He's like, oh, you've been out there. You've probably seen things most men wouldn't believe. That instantly reminded me of Blade Runner. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. But then he said something like, only to come home and find so much chaos. And as he's about to continue, Bran cuts him off and drops the line. Chaos is a ladder. And as he does it, man, he shoots right down the barrel. Looks right down the camera. So it was a little bit jarring because, you don't expect characters to look right at the camera. You don't really expect that to happen, right? I feel like that was trying to put us into Littlefinger's position, that Bran is staring us down, looking us right in the eye and dropping this line. So I think it was effective if indeed that's what they're trying to do. It was jarring, to have Bran look right at me, shoot right down the barrel of the camera, and the look on Littlefinger's face, never seen him like that. He looked like he saw a ghost. He's a man that's really proud of having these secrets and tricks of the trade that no one knows about, and how he operates. That is the definition of rattled. He's looking at Bran, and Bran's like straight faced, looking him right in the eyes, looking at us right in the eyes as well, right? As he's looking at him, he hears a knock, and he does this blink, just really great facial acting, and then he looks to his left as he has one final look at Bran. So, two really strange things came out of this for Peter Baelish. How does Bran know about chaos is a ladder? His thing he said to Varys. And then Bran tells him, I'm not Lord Stark. What exactly does Littlefinger make of that? These are two things that are really gonna be playing over and over in Baelish's mind. And then comes in Meera. Oh man, this is a heartbreaking scene. At first there's a little bit of banter, but Bran knows she's made up her mind. She has to leave. And at one point she's like, I don't think you really need me anymore. And he just straight up agrees. He's like, yeah, I don't need you anymore. And Meera really, gets upset. She's like, that's all you have to say. And then he did say thank you, but it was more of like a robotic thank you. It's like, is this how humans do it? Thank you. And she's just heartbroken. She's just so upset. She's, my brother died. Hodor died, Summer died. She's just standing here baffled at how emotionless Bran is. And at one point there's like nothing being said, and she kind of calls him out. She's like, Bran, and she's like, I'm not really, not anymore. Yeah, man, it looks like that sweet old kid, sweet old Bran Stark is not there anymore. And she, she said that you died back in the cave. Again, he just kind of blank stare. He's looking at her. It seems like that's exactly what happened, man. He's not Bran Stark anymore. Physically, yeah, he's Bran Stark, but inside, something else is going on. As he mentioned, now I know so much more. Bran Stark is just one person among hundreds and thousands of memories he has in his head now. And it was a really sad scene because Meera is, she's been through so much. I said last episode that she's an unsung hero. She deserves so much praise for sticking by his side and getting him to this point. That's gotta break her heart for sure. Is that the last of Meera? I don't know. Her father's Howland Reed. There's been speculation, long-running theory that perhaps Howland Reed might be one of the people who might back up, Jon's true parentage because he was there alongside Ned. But that whole point of him having so many memories and so many, I guess, personalities in his head, makes me think of another thing. He didn't tell Baelish that he knows about his betrayal of Ned Stark, his father. That really raises a new question, man. He basically said he's not Bran Stark anymore. So if he's not Bran Stark anymore, and he's just a three-eyed raven who's got just this knowledge, immense knowledge in his head, does he care about Bran Stark's past anymore? Because let's look at Arya. She's dead set on taking out anyone that hurt, her family. But Bran, since he's not Bran anymore, does he even care? Can he care? Because now there's so much else in his mind. So, because this whole time, I kept thinking, oh man, he's gonna tell Baelish he knows. He's gonna tell Arya, Sansa, and Jon. But now it really seems like this three-eyed raven might not even care about that. How much of it does he even remember? You know, that's the thing, because he has fragments of thousands of memories now, so to him, is that even important anymore? You know, and then as Meera leaves, you see Bran kind of look to his left. He can sense that Arya's here. You know, and that kicks in the Arya Stark reunion, and Arya Stark returns home. You know, bit of a callback to season 1. You know, as she's trying to get into King's Landing, and the guards didn't let her get through. So, you know, then she's inside, and she's having a look around. You know, the Stark music's playing. Just, it's fantastic, right? The Stark music, man, it's just so powerful. But that's playing. She's looking around. You know, there's this really cool shot of her, you know, looking around at the Stark banner. It's been so long since she's been here, so a lot of these things are so new to her. You know, the people are so new to her. But it is her home. Arya decides to go down to the crypts, and you know, this is a bit of a different reunion. You know, they'll do like a really super emotional. They'll have the Stark theme playing in the background. This is more of like a silent. You know, it's a really different take on a reunion. You know, at first she's like, "Do I have to call you Lady Stark?" You know, and Sansa jokes about it, and then they embrace, they hug. She asked him about Joffrey. You know, if you killed him. Sansa said she wished she had. You know, and then Arya drops that, you know, no matter how long my list got, he was always number 1. And Sansa just laughs it off as a joke. So does Arya. You know, she a really cute laugh, actually. You know what the thing is here, man? Maisie Williams is like super cute, right? But like, she just has like a really cute face, you know, really innocent face. But Arya Stark is this ice cold like assassin. So, you know, it really throws you off, because she'll do like, you know, in that moment as Sansa's laughing, she had a cute laugh as well. But she's capable of some crazy things. Another Stark reunion, Bran and Arya this time, and of course Bran knows. You know, Bran knows, and now it's Arya's turn to find out that Bran knows things that only she could possibly know. You know, Bran said, "I thought you're gonna go to King's Landing," and Sansa asked, "Why would you go back there?" It's because Cersei's still on her list, and at this point, Sansa's like, "Oh, this list thing is a thing. It's a thing." And there was a bit of a moment. You know, she asked her, "Who else is on the list?" Arya said, most of them are dead." Sansa had this smirk on her face, kind of like proud, almost kind of like she was proud. And at this point, Bran, you know, gives her the dagger. You know, the topic of Littlefinger comes up. You know, Arya is kind of surprised that Littlefinger's here. Sansa is kind of baffled that Littlefinger gave it to Bran, and she's already thinking, because she knows how Littlefinger operates. She knows there's got to be some kind of reasoning. Is he trying to get Bran on his side? That's not going to happen. Of course, that's not going to happen. But yeah, you know, Arya gets the dagger, and you know, that kind of debunks a lot of the theories a lot of us had before the season started. Because, you know, now I can talk about this. There was a magazine cover, and they had Arya on it, and she had the blade to her side. So, you know, of course, once people see that, you know, people start to speculate. You know, a lot of us thought that maybe it's Arya who kills, Baelish, and takes a dagger. You know, something spectacular. Turns out it wasn't anything that spectacular. Baelish basically gave it, you know, just hands it over to Bran, and that's that. And then Bran decides to give it to Arya, so that's how she got it. But it's not done just yet, man. It's still a possibility that maybe Littlefinger might die by this dagger. You know, staying on the topic of Arya. Oh man, one of my favorite moments of this season so far. There's already a bunch of them, but you know, this is definitely one of them. Arya comes in, and she sees Brienne and Pod just sparring and training, and there's a really super cool shot of Arya as she comes in. You know, she's got her hands behind her back, but the shot's from behind her. You know, you can see the back of her head as she comes in. Just her demeanor, how she presents herself, it's so different. You know, so calm, so confident. You know, and she ends up sparring. Her and Brienne go at it. Fantastic scene, because Arya was impressed. She didn't go at that time with Brienne, but she was impressed by Brienne. You know, Brienne bested the Hound. A fantastic sparring session. You know, Arya, you know, you can see Brienne, in Brienne's face, she's really surprised and impressed. And as this is going on, Sansa and Littlefinger come in, and you know, they start looking at this. You know, two totally different types of looks on their faces. Baelish, you know, again, that sneaky look. You know, he kind of, as Sansa's looking at what's going on down there, he does like this side look and a little bit of a smirk on his face. Sansa, her look, her concern, you know, her face had this look of concern. You know, she's probably thinking, that's my sister? Like, what? Like, how did this happen, you know? And that probably maybe confirmed it even more, this list thing. Now she can see that, yes, she's seeing it physically, that Arya is different. She's learned how to, defend herself and fight people. So the look on her face is kind of difficult to decipher, because I felt like it was concern. There was some shock. Of course, there's definitely shock, She's never seen Arya like this. And as Arya and Brienne end this fantastic, sparring session, great shot of them just kind of smiling at each other, just impressed by each other, right? And a fantastic ending line, who taught you that? She's like, no one. So I thought that was great. But Arya and Brienne kind of look up. Well, Brienne looks up first at Sansa, and Brienne actually noticed this. She saw the concern in Sansa's face, and you can see it in Brienne's face as well. She kind of, her expression changes. And then Sansa just takes her leave, and she looks at Baelish right before she does this, kind of like almost like a look of disgust. And then Arya looks up and makes eye contact. It's her and Baelish this time. Arya's got this look of disgust. She's just shooting daggers at him, and Baelish just, a bit of a smirk, gives her a nod. If he didn't know it then, he definitely knows it now that was Arya back there at Harrenhal. All right, man. Moving on to Dragonstone. It kind of starts off, it's a little bit of a cute moment. At one point she's like, he better come back to me. So she could see that something's happened. They've connected, and she stops her and she kind of straight up asks her. She's like, what happened? Missandei's like, many things. Then he's like, many things. And as they're talking, who shows up? Jon Snow shows up, and he's like, your grace. And then there's another quick exchange. Missandei has a bit of like a playful smile on her face, kind of like, ooh, look, it's the King of the North, And then Dany looks at her, and Dany has a smirk on her face as well. Listen here, man. The scene that follows, there's a lot of there's a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of tension. Not just this scene, in the last episode as well. By the end of it, there was some chemistry there. Regardless of our takes on it, our opinions on it, the show is definitely going there. It's definitely going there, man, because it's building up, right? And the thing is, Kit Harington and Emilia Clarke, they have chemistry. They definitely have chemistry on screen, so it's definitely going there. But yeah, onto the cave. First of all, stunning. Again, the cinematography is on display here. He goes in there, lights it up, just like Stannis and Sam said. It's a mountain of dragon glass, man. And Jon basically said, like, this is more than enough. And as Dany saw this, you see the look in her face, man, just like she's in awe. I believe she's breathing much faster at one point as she's looking around. You can see in her eyes and her face, she's just, amazed. She's just amazed at what she's looking at. And he tells her there's one more thing that he needs to show her. He takes her a little bit further in, and it's cave paintings by the children of the forest, and the first men. Yeah, and I recognize a few of the symbols. I'm sure most of the symbols that show there have made an appearance in the show, but like at that moment, on my first take, I definitely recalled one of them for sure. It was the one Mance Rayder saw. Always the artists, right? The spiral. So, the thing here is that these are the children of the forest who were leaving these markings inside this cave. But it's a Night King that is leaving like messages and like dead body parts and like horses, in the shape of those exact same symbols. So the children of the forest and the first men actually fought together side by side against a common enemy. There's another moment, a little bit of an intimate moment. He grabs her arm and kind of turns her, and then she sees it. She sees the Night King, what seems to be the Night King, and 3 other people, and Jon tells her the enemy's always been real. And at this point, I believe Dany asked him, you don't think you can, defeat them without me and my dragons? And Jon truthfully just straight up told her, no, I don't think I can. And, another intimate moment. And, as this is going on, as she steps in, the theme kicks in. They have a theme just for Jon and Dany. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I've heard it a few times now. It really is beautiful. She takes a step towards him. Again, great lighting. They're using the fire. At first, she tells him she's gonna fight. She'll fight for the North. She'll fight for him. But then she drops him in, if you bend the knee. And you can see in Jon's face, and he kind of looks down. He's like, my people, they can't accept a southern ruler after everything they've been through. And then she steps in one more time. They get even closer, right? Face to face. And she said something that really resonated. And, she said, isn't their survival more important than your pride? And he has a look on his face, and that's because I believe he said something really similar to Mance Rayder before. He might have said the exact same thing, I'm not 100% sure, can't remember for sure, because he tried the same thing, he asked Mance to bend the knee, and save your people. And that's exactly what Dany's saying now to him, just like Jon was telling Mance, bend the knee, is your pride more important than the survival of your people? And I remember that Mance said, fuck my pride. Now, fast forward to this, Dany's saying the same thing to him. Now, see, here's the thing. Now, does Jon look at it from his perspective? He was in the same position trying to get Mance to bend the knee, for the survival of his people. Does he look at it from that angle and realize, I was trying to do the same thing, man. And this is the point I was trying to make to Mance. So maybe she is making a good point to me. Or does he go back and extract what exactly Mance was telling him? The reasoning behind not bending the knee, and how his people trust him, and that if he bends the knee to a Southern king, that they'll lose respect and trust for him. It's not about pride, fuck my pride. That's what he said, right? And in Jon's the same thing. He's not about pride, man. He's not about titles. That's been so clear, right? He didn't want to be Lord Commander, right? He didn't want to be King of the North. He doesn't care about the titles. He's good at it, he's good at it, but he doesn't really ask for it, or he doesn't really aspire to, attain these titles. And even in this episode, there's a funny moment. Davos is trying to figure out what to call him, King Jon, King Snow. And Jon just kind of smiles and he's like, doesn't matter. And he's right, man, it doesn't matter. But on the flip side, Dany, she is concerned, by titles. She's still stuck on this conflict, just being the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. So yes, I do feel like it is a bit ironic and hypocritical that she's telling him, isn't their survival more important than your pride? But here she is still stuck on the bend the knee thing, man. That's a pride thing. That's definitely a pride thing. She needs him to bend the knee. She needs him to acknowledge that she's the rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms, the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. So, I'm hoping she'll come around on this and just give up this whole bend the knee thing. And it's possible maybe that Jon does bend the knee, because then he does get Dany on his side and the dragons, if they all survive that long. But yeah, man, the tension is there. Dany and Jon, and one of the reunions that's really important at this point is Bran and Jon. And how Bran chooses to present this to Jon, if he chooses to present it to Jon. It all depends on if the Three-Eyed Raven thinks it's important to tell Jon about his parentage. They did bring up his parentage in a scene, in a bit of a scene before Theon got there. It was him, Davos, and Missandei. She asked him about his name. She was a little bit confused about, the concept of a bastard. And it was brought up that in her homeland and in places, in the south, the concept doesn't even exist. And before that happened, there was, Davos kind of asked him about what he thinks about her, the Dragon Queen. Jon said she has a good heart. And Davos is like, yeah, I've seen you looking at her good heart. And Jon said there's no time for it. That's what I've been saying. Jon knows there's just no time for this. There's bigger things at play here, bigger problems to concentrate on. But again, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. The chemistry seems to be there. Something's going on now. The sparks are there. And then I think there's a bit of a cheeky moment as they come up on Missandei. Davos goes talking about good hearts. I see you, Davos. And again, on a serious note, Missandei gives Jon some more background information, important background information. That they all chose her as the queen, and that all of them are free to make their own choices, and they decided that she is, they choose her to be queen. So there's a lot of similarities. All of us have known about these similarities for seasons, right? The parallels, Jon's rise to the top and Daenerys' rise to the top, a lot of similarities. But now Jon and Daenerys are finding out about each other and how similar they are. And the one last thing I need to talk about is how Tyrion tells her that High Garden's been taken. And this news of this third defeat really, just, this is it. She was done. She's had setbacks back to back, nonstop, and she's like, I'm stuck here as my enemies are just getting one over me. And you can see that she's really, really angry now. And she questions, man. She has a go at Tyrion. I think rightfully so, because Tyrion has, failed her at, in these plans of his. So it's fair that she's having a go at Tyrion, and she kind of calls him out, man. She's like, our enemies? You mean your family? And then she says something like, maybe you don't want to hurt them. And it's funny that she said that, because at the end of that episode, Tyrion comes in, he looks at the Lannister soldiers burning. You can see in his face that, he's not liking this. You can see that he's torn, he's conflicted. So, I don't know, maybe that's alluding to something. She goes to get a second opinion from Jon, and you can see Tyrion's kind of looking at her like, whoa. This also kind of shows Tyrion that he's kind of lost some of her trust now, man. Now she has to go to someone else. So she'll be super happy to have Jorah back, I think. She asked Jon. At first, Jon didn't want to, say anything, but she goes up to him. She's like, I'm losing. Tell me what you think. And he started this off by saying that people who follow you know that you've done amazing things. But if you decide to take them and go to the Reach and burn everything down, you're more the same. So she kind of listened to him. She didn't go to the Reach, she didn't do that. Instead, she flew out and took the Dothraki. Now, the issue of how the hell the Dothraki got there, so fast, all of them on horses, there's a lot of them. There's just not enough time to show us these things. So it was basically a combination of the two, because she said, enough of the clever plans. So she took what Olenna said, be a dragon, and she took what Jon said, kind of mashed them up. She took her biggest dragon, but she also decided not to go to the Red Keep, and burn down castles. And that leads to basically what I talked about for like 40 minutes, the big final sequence. And yeah, man, there it is. Wow, one of the most amazing Game of Thrones episodes. Top 5 easily, I'd say. Top to bottom, beginning till end, amazing episode. Just brilliant, man, absolutely amazing. And before I sign off, I just want to say, I'm not, I know Jaime has faults, man. I know. Just like Jaime knows that Cersei has faults and that Cersei is not a good person, he knows it, and I know Jaime has faults. I'm not trying to make anyone like Jaime. I like him. I love this character. He's such a complex character, and like, his journey from in these 7 seasons, his character development in these 7 seasons has been incredible. One of the best on the show. And I feel like a lot of people kind of gave up on him in season 1, man. Right in the beginning, a lot of people gave up on him, just because of the incest issue, and then that he pushed out Bran. Yes, I know both those things are absolutely terrible. He had his reasons for pushing out Bran, but again, he pushed the kid out. I get it, I get that, but like, I feel like some people just right there, they cut it off and they had their mind made up, and I feel like those people missed out, man. You missed out. Like, it's one of the most amazing characters of the show, and I don't think he's okay with Cersei killing all those people at the Sept, in the season 6 finale. He wasn't there. If he was there, he was not going to allow that. He would try to talk her out of it. That was only possible for Cersei because Jaime wasn't there. Again, I find him really fascinating. It's a really fascinating character. I find it fascinating that he can't let go of Cersei. His obsession, his deep, blind love for Cersei, could prove to be his downfall. And I fear that it might be his downfall, and I hope it isn't, but it might be. But I find that fascinating that he can't let go. The Jaime that's at King's Landing with Cersei, that's a totally different Jaime from the Jaime that's, that was outside of King's Landing. So he's a different person. He's almost like a different person in those different situations, not just Brienne, just if he's away from Cersei, he's a different person almost. He is an amazing person. He's an honorable person. You saw at the end, man. You saw at the end, courageous, heroic. But then he has his flaws, man. And I feel like these are the type of things that, make characters interesting. I love Jaime Lannister. I'm not trying to make anyone love Jaime Lannister. I know there's a lot of Jaime haters, a lot of them. There's a lot of Dany haters. There's a lot of Jaime haters. I'm sure people had sides in this. They're like, oh, fuck Jaime and Bronn. And then some people are probably like, fuck Dany. And, that reminds me, I really should finish this off now, but that reminds me, this whole thing about Bran, a lot of, I've been seeing people call him, he's an asshole, he's being creepy, he's bringing up Sansa's rape, he's being a perv. No, man, come on. Come on. He's not being an asshole. He's not being a perv. He's not Bran anymore, man. I hope the people that are saying these things, realize that after this episode. He basically explains it. So it's kind of clear to us that it's tough for him to realize, what exactly can be said and the tone it should be said in, or if it should be brought up. Because now he's not Bran anymore. Now he's just, again, I said, like a hard drive full of information. And that emotional connection seems to be gone. So he doesn't know, how to pick and choose. So, I think the people that are calling him an asshole and a perv are so off the mark. So off the mark. Alright, guys, I'm going to end it off there. That was long. The sun's come out. The sun's come out. I checked out the episode really late, so of course this is going to be even later, the discussion, because I talk a lot. But yeah, I'm going to sign off, guys. Thanks for checking this out. I know this is probably not going to go up at the same time as a reaction. This is going to go up separately, probably 3-4 days later, because, again, I'm super busy yet. I probably won't have a chance to edit. But if you checked out the whole thing, thank you so much. Leave your comments. Let me know what you thought. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Take it easy. I'll see you for the next episode.